Hey guys, welcome back, and we are going to um, look at our final problem for the week. So 4.5 is it's snowing in Syracuse. Snow is falling steadily in Syracuse, New York. After 2 hours, 4 inches of snow has already fallen. And here's a table that we're going to be looking at completing today. So my suggestion is go ahead and grab some paper, grab something to write with, and I would suggest at least copying the table quickly and just jotting down some information as we kind of walk through this problem. Feel free to pause the video at any time so that you can work at your own pace. Okay, so let's go. So remember, it's snowing in Syracuse, and here we have a table of um, X and Y values. And so we are wanting to fill in these missing holes. And so if you remember right, we talked last week and the week before about constant of proportionality. And within our constant of proportionality, we know how we can find an X value as well as a Y value. And we called that constant of proportionality K. And so we said that K equals our Y value divided by our X value. And so our ratio looks like this. And this allows us to find our constant, what we need to ensure that we can go from X to Y or Y to X every time. And so we notice that there is this one set of values where both are already determined for us. So let's go ahead and determine what our K is with these set of values. And so 4 is our Y value over 2. I'm going to go ahead and simplify that, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. And so K is 2. So that means 2 times 2 gave me my 4. So let's go ahead and fill out some of these known values that we can do real quick because that is our constant. Our constant can be used for every row to complete the columns. And so let's start with this value of 1. 1 times 2 is 2. And let's go ahead and do this one below that value. 6.5 times 2 is 13.50. And then we have these other two values. And we notice that we have the Y value, but we don't have the X value. Okay. So if I'm multiplying by the constant by 2 to go from left to right, I can divide by 2 to go the other direction, or I can multiply by its reciprocal. Okay? And so if I wish to do that, going this direction from right to left, what do I multiply by 2 to get 1? So be the same thing as doing 1 divided by 2. And so you'll notice that 1/2 times 2 indeed does equal 1. Let's look at this value down below. So this value is X. Remember, X is unknown, so it doesn't matter what number of hours that I'm going to use. So this can be determined for any number of hours, whether it's a whole number or it's a partial number with a decimal. And so I can also multiply by 2 here, and 2 times X is 2X. And so we've already completed our table. And so hopefully by this point, you are able to kind of see where we're getting our constant of proportionality and how we are able to determine what our K equals and then what our Y value is. And so here's our finished table. Okay. Again, kind of take some time, make sure you're copying down this information so that you understand what's going on. Let's go ahead and look at a couple of questions based off of our information from the table. So question number 1 says, if it continues to snow at the same rate, how many inches of snow would you expect after 6.5 hours? And I could actually use my table to determine some information here. And so we've already got some information that we can use. And so here's my time, 6.5 hours. This matches the 6.5 hours here. And I'll notice that it's going to snow 13.5 inches. Okay. Question 2. Question 2 says, write an equation that gives the amount of snow that has fallen after X hours at this rate. Okay. So again, I'm looking at my X value, my time in hours, and I'm looking at my snow, my inches, and that's going to be my Y. And so it wants to know, regardless of the number of hours, how can we determine how much snow has actually fallen each and every time? And so remember that our constant of proportionality is K equals Y over X. And it wants to know the amount of snow. So it really wants us to solve for Y every time. And so all I gotta do is really just flip these things over. And so if I flip them over, and instead of dividing by the X value, I can actually multiply by the X value. And so we're gonna move that Y to the left side. And you're going to notice that Y equals K times X. Okay. And so with this, I'm going to actually input the information that I already know in my problem. And so Y equals the amount of snow. K, remember, is my constant of proportionality. And I have that actually right up there at the very top of the screen to kind of remind you what K equals. And in this particular problem, we notice that 2 was our constant of proportionality. So I'm going to go ahead and input my 2 in here. And then I'm going to keep my X value. And so in this case, our equation is Y equals 2 times X. And so if I take X, which is my number of hours, and I multiply it by 2, at any given time, I should know exactly how many inches of snow have fallen in Syracuse, New York, or wherever it just happens to be. So let's look at question number 3. How many inches of snowfall, how many inches of snow will fall in 24 hours if it continues to snow at this rate? Okay, so here I have a time, and notice this is 24 hours. I don't have 24 hours in my data table, okay? But remember, X represents the number of hours that I could have. And so I'm going to go ahead. Here is my equation, Y equals 2 times X. X represents the number of hours. Well, the number of hours is in my problem. And so instead of X, I'm going to have 2 times 24. And so 2 times 24 happens to be 48. 48 represents the number of inches of snow. And so 48 inches of snowfall in 24 hours. And so what's next? And so what is next is you are going to go back to your Google Classroom, specifically math, obviously. You're going to open up the Google Slides doc that I left for your assignment. When you open up the Google Slides doc, do not forget to go ahead and zoom in. This allows me to create a worksheet right on your paper. And so you actually have to go back in and you need to zoom in to your handout. And at the top of your handout, it tells you to complete the handout after the video and enter the text inside the text boxes. And as you go through this lesson, you'll notice that you are also going to fill out a data table, and you have 3 questions to complete when you are finished. When you are finished, go ahead and make sure that you submit into Google Classroom. Again, if you have any questions, please make sure that you're emailing or leave me a message on Microsoft Teams into your math classroom so that I can help you. So without further ado, I guess go ahead and get started, and good luck. I think you will do just fine.